I'm starving and all I have in my refrigerator is healthy food. I hate who I was 2 days ago at the store.
Most people, the bottom 80%, are lazy and they're looking for an easy way. They're looking for a shortcut to be successful. And there aren't any. But if you do something repeatedly over and over, you develop a habit. So most people are in the habit of looking for easy ways to get the things they want. And they're surrounded by people who think the same way. You know, as much as 95% of your thinking is determined by the people that you associate with on a regular basis. If you associate with people who don't work hard, don't learn, socialize after work, then you become like them. You think like them, you talk like them, you dress like them, you marry them, and so you're married to someone who also has no ambition. And you raise children, and your children have no ambition. Just go to work and complain about your work. But top people associate with other top people. There is what you've heard about the law of attraction. And the law of attraction says that if you change the way you think, you start to attract new people into your life. You start to meet other people who think the same way.
Hey, caught me off guard there. You know the camera was turning on that fast. Welcome everyone to episode number 167 of The State of Fitness. Today is what, April 12th, 2023? It is. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're doing well today. This is your first time joining us. I am David Greenwalt. I'm the founder of Leanest Lifestyle University. And for 24 years, we've been using the science and experience, both, to help our clients lose the excess one more time for the last time. We do it so that they can not only lose it one more time for the last time, but so they can live their best lives in the body and with the fitness they desire. So each Wednesday, if you're a first timer, I do what I call this as the state of fitness, and I discuss anything weight management, health, and fitness oriented that's top of mind for the week. This State of Fitness is my 167th in a row since February 5th, 2020. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel here, and when it's all said and done, you like what you see, please do subscribe. It helps us, helps the algorithm, and helps keep you in the loop so that you don't miss anything just in case you're interested. So let's start off as we do and take a look at some top students this week and see how everybody's doing, okay? Okay. So, on campus, on our site, scores are given for online behaviors. We know what to score, and we score it. And these students have averaged at least 100 points a day. I did include Nettie down there at 96, but everybody else has averaged at least 100 points a day. The maximum points you can earn is 149. All these students have done that. Congratulations to everyone who's made the list this week. Outstanding work. Let's see, for pounds lost in the last 6 weeks, all of these students have lost at least 8 pounds in the last 6 weeks. Congratulations. And the top 5 students this week for pounds lost are Mark and Phoebe at 12.1 pounds, Matt at 12.3, Paulette at 13.8, and Matthew at 17 pounds gone in the last 6 weeks. Way to go, everybody. 4% of weight lost in the last 6 weeks. All of these students have lost at least 4% of their weight as of 6 weeks ago. Outstanding work. And the top 5 this week are Sin and Matt at 5.2%, Nikki at 5.6%, Phoebe at 6.3%, and Renee at 6.5% for weight gone. Congratulations, everybody, on this. Outstanding work. This is what I call our top maintainers list. All of these students have achieved their lifetime goal, and they have maintained within 10 pounds of their lifetime goal. For the number of days you see in the days column, they've kept off the amount of weight you see in the weight loss column. Got students here that have kept off 10 pounds for 1,000 days. We've got students that have kept off 150 pounds for more than 1,000 days. It really varies. All of these students are active and current, and they exemplify what we're all here to do. Lose the excess one more time for the last time. The students in green have kept their weight off for at least a year. They're what we call, they have earned their bachelor's and they are on their way to earning their master's. They have to keep their weight off for 2 consecutive years to earn their master's. And the students in orange have earned their master's, and they are what we call PhD candidates. So the students in orange have already kept their weight off for at least 2 years consecutively. And then the students in blue have achieved the highest achievement we offer here, and we award, and that is the PhD. So all the students in blue have kept their weight off for at least 4 consecutive years. Way to go, everyone. Outstanding work. Way to continue to show everyone what can be done and what the ultimate is. Okay, let's see here. All right. So you may have heard or seen this quote. This is this week's lesson topic. It goes, comparison is the thief of joy. And when you do a YouTube search, just as an example, you do all kinds of searches. When you do a YouTube search, you're going to find a lot of videos titled with this sentiment. Jordan Peterson's got one there up top, and then they're all just, is comparison really the thief of joy? Comparison is the thief of joy, and so on. It just keeps going. You know, big names in podcasting and media and whatnot. Comparison is the thief of joy, and so on and so on. Very, very popular sentiment to put out there. You know, but as it goes with many quotes and one-liners, it can feel right, make total sense, if we don't spend any time learning more, which we all should do, or really thinking about it more, which we all should do. Well, I did that with this sentiment. Comparison is the thief of joy. And so, but before I get into it, I at least want to say, you know, this is the state of fitness, and we're all about fitness, and body composition is a part of fitness. So why am I talking about comparison is the thief of joy? Just tell me the macros, man. Give me the nutrition. Tell me how many cardio calories I got to burn, right? Those are the basics. Those are elements, pillars of fitness, but they aren't the end-all be-all. And if we don't have our mind right, if we don't have our emotional state right, then the nutrition and exercise components go off into the ditch. So, but with this, comparison is a thief of joy. What relevance could it have in our, you know, toward our fitness or our fitness progress and becoming more fit? Well, as you're going to see, social comparison is a normal aspect of human behavior. It can be used to propel us forward, to remove self-limiting beliefs about what's possible. It can also be a source of mental anguish, though, even depression if it's left unchecked. So the way I see it, anything that is biologically hardwired in us all, and social comparison is, and that has the power to help us move forward, or has the power to suck the life out of us mentally, it's worth exploring. So if we take the statement, comparison is the thief of joy, at face value, what does it mean? Well, I'd say it means at face value, comparing ourselves to others can lead to feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, and unhappiness. No doubt, for some, this is true. Any comparison to others seemingly doing better than they are can lead to feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, and unhappiness. Comparison to those doing far worse than we are can lead to feelings of anguish, elitism, sadness, and depression. So, I guess that's it. Comparison is the thief of joy. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Well, wait a minute. Let's take a look at social comparison and just kind of see what's what. And I often like to start my exploration into our human behaviors by asking, at least myself, if there's an evolutionary basis for it. And then I go out and try to see if there is. Does it make sense for the purpose of perpetuating our species that social comparison might be beneficial? Was beneficial, is still beneficial, and therefore, if so, that it's woven into our DNA. Well, the concept of social comparison was first termed and fully developed in 1954 by Leon Festinger, who hypothesized that we are unable to self-judge our opinions and abilities accurately, and instead rely on comparing ourselves to other people to form an evaluation. Festinger argued that we are driven to assess our abilities and opinions to determine whether we are good enough, our abilities, or correct, our opinions, and to set a benchmark of what we aim to achieve. This is where he started. This was what he had determined it was useful for. So Festinger's argument begins with the initial hypothesis that evaluating our skills and opinions is extremely important for our survival. Good examples of survival behaviors and beliefs include running quickly so that you can outrun a lion, and having an opinion about how newly discovered food should be eaten. So we're really going back, right? Why might it have been helpful way, way, way back when? Including now, but also, and especially in this instance, way back when. Well, these types of views and behaviors, outrunning a lion, how should we consume this new food? They aren't as relevant, to our current modern life. But what about these areas of social comparison? Learning and improving skills. Just as examples, things that came to me, a police officer, nurse, teacher, electrician, and many other professions will have a proctor or veteran in the field showing them how to properly do a skill related to their profession. So by observing and learning, comparing from the strategies used by those with far more experience and skill, the aspiring next generation of the profession can become proficient. Setting and achieving goals. An aspiring entrepreneur, for example, who looks to successful business leaders for inspiration and guidance, can set goals that align with their own values and aspirations. By comparing themselves to these role models, they can gain motivation and inspiration to work towards their own goals and achieve success. About finding role models. From successful sports figures and thought leaders, we can be inspired and learn about their dedication, hard work, and perseverance. These comparisons can help us seek out the resources to develop our own skills and achieve our own success. And promoting healthy behaviors. A person who wants to improve their fitness and adopt a healthier lifestyle can join a fitness community or social group where they can connect with others who share similar goals. Sound familiar? By comparing their own behaviors and progress to those of others in the group, they can gain motivation to adopt healthy habits and improve their own well-being. It's kind of a birds of a feather, right? Surround yourself with the people that you want to be like, or that you want to continue to be like. So, some comparisons can be made. There are subjective versus objective metrics, and some comparisons can be made using objective metrics, such as how fast someone could run a mile, as we might evaluate for sport performance. While other comparisons require subjective metrics like political opinions and honesty. How honest is someone? It's pretty subjective. In the absence of objective metrics, things we can just hard line in the sand measure, how fast does someone run 100 meters? In the absence of these objective metrics, people can rely on self-evaluation or social evaluation. And with the self-evaluations are often less reliable than social evaluations because our assessments of our skills and opinions are often unstable and unreliable. Researchers have found that comparisons with similar individuals are more reliable and yield useful assessments. We're inclined to draw comparisons with individuals whose ability or opinion we judge as being close to our own. For example, we'll be more likely to draw a comparison if we find someone about our age in a similar field of work, with a similar family dynamic, married or not, with kids or not, and with a similar education. If we find that our ability or opinion, is highly similar to the benchmark of perceived to be similar individuals, meaning, are we doing about as good as the other people we perceive to be similar to us? Then we feel more emboldened and confident in our abilities and opinions. If the evaluation of our comparison highlights that we are performing poorly, then there are at least two possible outcomes. First, we may aim to improve our behavior so that we are more similar to the other individuals we have assessed as doing better than us. Second, we may strive to influence the other individuals so they become more similar to us. I've heard this stated before as, don't keep up with the Joneses, just drag them down to your level. We often see this with friends and family who are jealous or nervous about our goals to improve our physiques. They may try and push junk food our way, deliver snide comments, or engage in all-out sabotaging behaviors. Social comparisons are described as either upward or downward. When we engage in upward social comparison, we compare ourselves to someone who is perceived to be or performing better than we are, better than we are. In contrast, when we engage in downward social comparison, we compare ourselves to someone who is perceived to be or performing worse than we are. The direction of the comparison does not guarantee the direction of the outcome. Both types of social comparison can result in negative and positive effects. Now, the typical inclination is to compare upward. It's not surprising if we, for one, accept that betterment is a part of evolution. It's one of the reasons we will look to people that we perceive as being better more often than we will people doing worse, because betterment, striving to see what is better, what could be better, is built in to our evolutionary DNA. We're not really inclined to seek out the advice of someone doing worse than we are in the area we want to improve. If we want to make $10 million a year, and our goal isn't just to make ourselves feel superior to someone else, it doesn't make sense to compare ourselves or to seek advice from someone earning $20,000 a year, right? And one of the things that I remember really big early in my CrossFit days is, I think I was 49 when I started CrossFit. It was about 8 years ago. And I had done certain things, and I kind of gravitated toward it pretty quickly. I adapted to it pretty quickly, and I kind of moved from complete rank novice to, okay, in a fairly short period of time, all things being, considered. And at one point, I had no big head at all. It's just not how I operate. But I thought that when it might have been the Open or something else was going along, and I remember that, I had a certain score for, a particular workout or series of workouts. And I thought, I'm thinking that's probably going to be pretty decent. And I looked and found out that I was, middle of the pack or lower for people my age. And that was the thing that really struck me, is that there was no excuse, because once let's face it, when you're training hard, maybe competing in athletics of some kind and you're north of 50, unless they really do age division breakdowns, you're often going to be competing against teenagers, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and depending on the athletic endeavor, it's really not a fair comparison. So I'm just kind of used to that. And I was thinking, at first I was thinking, well, these, the scores or whatever are going to be 20, 30-year-olds, and that's just the way it is. But it wasn't. These were guys in my age range who were doing better than me. All over the world, thousands of guys. And for me, just by the way I'm wired, at first, it very mildly knocked the wind out of my sails, but it much more so. That was 1%. The other 99% was, I know what my history is in training. I have been training at that time for, 33 years. I've been in the gyms. I've worked hard. I've been a competitive bodybuilder and powerlifter. I've been really strong. In the past, and was still strong then at 49. And I thought, these guys aren't Superman. These guys, didn't have whatever infected Spider-Man that made them now stronger, and I didn't get that thing. They're just people. They're just training hard, working hard, into fitness, and they're just better than me. And the way it struck me was, again, socially comparing, was if they can do it, if that many, it wasn't like there were two people where you go, okay, yeah, I get it. There's always two people, thousands of people. If that many people can be better than me, then it can be done. And I can get better. And whatever I thought was good or might be good, it's much higher than that. So my paradigm shifted. My mindset shifted. What I didn't know was possible, I knew was possible. I saw thousands of scores representing what was possible. I wasn't there yet. But in me, it was like, but you can get there, or you can get somewhere much better than where you are. And where you are, if it satisfies you, great. Hey, you're living life, you're trying to be fit, great. But if you're trying to tell yourself in any way, shape, or form, which I really wasn't, but in my mind, it was like, that's probably really good. It's not. It's very average for men that are competing in this, by the way, which isn't the men that are competing in this and submitting scores for this are definitely not average people that are out there in the streets. These are people that are interested enough to actually do it and submit scores, and I understand that. We all do, right? Anyway, my point is that it let me know what was possible. Really, realistically possible. I wasn't comparing myself, to an Olympic athlete. So let's keep it going. Similarly to my story here, much bigger scale though, May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister ran a mile in under 4 minutes. How many runners have run a mile in under 4 minutes since then? It's estimated that more than 1,400 men have run a mile in under 4 minutes since May 6, 1954. So 69 years. In 69 years, 1,400 men. For the thousands of years prior to May 6, 1954, no one did. I had to look it up. From what I could tell, I just wanted as a tidbit, just a little tidbit to share. The fastest woman to date ran a 4:12, which is insane, but that's the fastest woman to date. So as early as the late 1800s, men were running a mile sub 4:30. As early as the late 1800s, they were running a sub 4:30. But no one ran at sub 4 prior to May 6, 1954. And it was literally thought to be impossible. Many experts in the field of athletics and sports physiology believe that the human body was not even capable of running a mile that fast. The heart would explode. It was physically dangerous to even try. The belief that the 4-minute barrier was insurmountable had become so deeply ingrained in the athletic community. And it was widely believed that it would take many years, if ever, for someone to break it. Then Bannister broke it. And as I said, in the 69 years since, more than 1,400 men have followed suit. It all of a sudden became possible. Self-limiting beliefs were shattered. The experts, meaningless. Everything they had said up to that point, we've seen it. It can be done. So here's the thing. If left to only self-evaluation, I'd put good money on that 4-minute mile still not being surpassed. And by self-evaluation, meaning you just eyes closed, head down, you never saw Roger Bannister do it. You never compared where you were to Roger Bannister and knew that he had done it. You were using self-evaluation only. I don't think we'd still have anybody running a sub 4-minute mile. So upward social comparison can be positive, but it's not always positive. We are not always motivated to improve our ability, skill, opinion after upward social comparison. And upward social comparison can have detrimental effects. Sometimes we may choose to handicap ourselves by choosing someone who is extremely superior, unrealistically superior. Like if a novice runner or any of us right now at our age, in our state, where we are in our lives, compared ourselves to an Olympic athlete. That's who we chose to compare ourselves to. We could really handicap ourselves. Because this kind of a comparison can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy of lower expectations, because who can really do what the Olympic athlete does, especially at our age, in our state, in our family lives, in our dynamics, and everything we've got going on. And then we just put in less effort and we get less success, period. It can really be a form of self-sabotage or a way to avoid the stress of high expectations. The thinking is, if I don't try, then I can't fail. There's still failing going on. It's just a matter of the type of failure when you don't put your best foot forward to try to achieve what you can do. Continuing on. We may become the saboteur of those doing better than us, as I mentioned before, so that they perform less well. That's not a positive for evaluating socially. If we know someone who's doing better than us socially and we deliver snide comments to them, or we sabotage them, or we don't give them a deserved compliment, we don't pay them a compliment for all the hard work they've done and all they're really doing, that's not a positive. And then third, we may develop feelings of inferiority or even depression because we are reminded that we are not as good as the person we are upwardly comparing ourselves to. Okay? I already explained how it impacted me. But everybody isn't me, and I don't mean like, look at me, I'm great. I just mean we're all different. And the type of people we are, the type of person you are, can have an impact as to whether an upward evaluation, meaning comparing yourself to someone you perceive or who is actually doing better than you in some given area that you care about, it could impact you negatively, especially if you're not aware of these types of things. I don't think these types of things are like eye color, by the way. I think a lot of these things can be changed, and it's one of the reasons I'm going through this week, to teach this, to kind of give a background on this sentiment of comparison is the thief of joy, so that maybe you can catch yourself. Maybe you could be the one to deliver that compliment that is so deserved. Maybe you can check yourself before you deliver that snide comment if you're the type of person that would be that way, okay? So we can learn, we can grow. It's a part of our emotional fitness to be able to grow, and this is an area where we can do that. So in downward social comparisons, we compare ourselves to other people who are worse off than us, or we perceive are worse off than us. We're more likely to engage in downward social comparisons in situations where our sense of self and well-being feels under threat. These downward social comparisons can boost self-esteem, can make us feel better about ourselves, can reduce anxiety, and may help us take comfort in knowing we could be worse off. Okay? Although downward social comparison might seem like the better way to go, the effects of downward social comparisons are variable and can also result in negative outcomes. Downward social comparisons might leave us feeling happy, less happy. And you got to go back up here. There you go. Downward social comparisons might leave us feeling less happy because we are reminded that the situation always has the potential to worsen. It might remind us that the situation always has the potential to worsen. Some people can say, I'm so grateful that I'm not there. It actually, elevates me a bit in mood. And some people can say, oh my gosh, it really could be so much worse. And now I'm down. And I might feel unhappy about it, and I might feel worse because I know that. Okay? So, in the past, social comparison was limited to the people in our immediate surroundings or to those we encountered in our daily lives. This would be no discussion, would not even be worth bringing to you guys if I didn't at least talk about social media and comparison, right? Prior to the internet, people would compare themselves to others through various means, such as face-to-face interactions. I mean, how did we do it before the internet? Face-to-face interactions with friends, family, and colleagues, comparing their possessions, achievements, and lifestyle with others in their social circle. But it was face-to-face. Additionally, people would compare themselves to others through traditional media, magazines, newspaper, television, which portrayed a certain standard of beauty, success, and happiness. There were ways to do it, just not as easy, not in the volume that we can now. However, with social media, we have access to a wide range of individuals from different parts of the world. This can result in increased feelings of inadequacy, envy, and low self-esteem as we upwardly compare ourselves to others who appear to have more successful careers, relationships, or lifestyles, or who actually have more successful careers, relationships, or lifestyles. Sometimes hard to distinguish, but it can be never-ending. Our ability to compare now compared to any period pre-internet, staggeringly more prominent. Staggeringly. Who we choose to compare ourselves to and at what volume we do these comparisons, it's important, and it can impact our state of mind, mood, and even depressive tendencies. There is additional evidence that compared to individuals who engage in fewer social comparisons, the individuals who engage in more social comparisons respond more negatively. So, some comparison, when we're making fair comparisons, this is needed. It's evolutionary, it's natural, and it can be helpful if we're not excessively comparing our behind-the-scenes, uncut, real life with the highlight reels we so often see on social media and elsewhere. Social media posts, they can be overwhelming, and we are often engaging in upward social comparisons, but we're doing so with our behind-the-scenes, uncut real life and comparing that to the highlight reels we see. There is evidence that increased use of social media, and also the higher the use of social media, has a direct outcome result of increased depressive symptoms. experience of depressive episodes even 3 weeks later. Lower self-esteem, lower body image. As with about anything, these negative outcomes are not universal. Participants with high optimism generally experience a weaker relationship between using social media and symptoms of depression. For participants with low optimism, the adverse effects of upward social comparison, they're more pronounced. You're going to get more negative outcomes if you just generally come at life with less optimism. So one of the challenges of social comparison theory is deciding who we're going to compare ourselves to, especially since the outcome of the social comparison differs according to the type of person we are, whether we're looking upward or downward, and other factors. One really encouraging strategy, though, that can act as a buffer toward negative comparison outcomes is, are you ready for it? Develop gratitude. Focusing on gratitude leads to an increased positive affect, better sleep, higher levels of optimism, which is a buffer against the negative effects of downward social comparisons. Remember, I mentioned that just a minute ago. More pro-social behavior. Those are actions that are intended to benefit others, such as helping, sharing, cooperating, and comforting. From our State of Fitness that I did, episode 130, so 37 episodes ago. It's amazing that it's been 37 episodes ago. But 37 episodes ago, on episode 130, if you can find it on YouTube, I did an entire episode on gratitude. And so I'm going to share with you here an easy way to put being more grateful into practice, since it is an amazing buffer and it has so many positive benefits. The method I teach for gratitude journaling I came up with several years ago. If you have access to our Facebook group, you will see posts with a subject relating to gratitude today. Quite often students, now more than 10 years after I taught this method, they still use this method, and I find it useful. I think the reason it's still used today is twofold. One, it's easy, and two, it helps. So here's what you do, as it says. If you're spiritual, then write down something you appreciate about God or your higher power. Next, write down something you appreciate about yourself. Next, write down something you appreciate about someone else. Finally, write down something you appreciate about the universe or possessions. Now, you might be tempted to look for the big things that any reasonable person would easily be grateful for. It's fine. But if the big things come to mind, feel free to write them down. But I want to encourage you to look for and be grateful for the smallest of things for each of the four categories. When you're aware of and grateful for the smallest of things, you will attract more things, both large and small, to be thankful for. Here's an example of how to use this method. If you're spiritual, you could go, I thank God for allowing me to turn over my biggest struggles to Him so I never have to feel like I'm walking this path of life alone. Something about yourself next. I am thankful for my 2 good working legs. Something about someone else. I am thankful for the special relationship I have with my kids. Something about the universe or possessions next. I am thankful for my home where I live. Being more detailed can be helpful for some, and at times, but not for all the time. What is important is to get your mind focused on what you are grateful for. Okay? So, we're here at the summary. Comparison is the thief of joy. That statement is simplistic and only part-time true. Social comparison is evolutionarily driven. Evaluating our skills and opinions is extremely important for our survival. We all do it, social comparison, and we will all keep doing it. Self-evaluations are often less reliable than social evaluations. It's important to consider who you are comparing yourself to and why. It's not that we can't compare ourselves to people that are doing better than us. We want to make sure we're not comparing ourselves to the gold medalist Olympic champion who it's simply not realistic. Now, it's a tough thing sometimes to not put limits and guardrails on what is possible. So I realize, and anybody that would be, talking about this would have to, realize that it's tough sometimes to figure out what, can be done. What I will say is, the more people you can find who are like you, age, gender, family life, education, the more you can find people that are like you in many other areas of life, but who are better than you in some particular area that you're wanting to get better in, I would say The more people you can find like that, where it isn't that one person who won a gold medal in the Olympics, one person. No, if you can find hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people where you go, my gosh, people are similar enough to me and they really are doing better. And again, I really do care about getting better in this area. Because just because someone is doing better than us in some area and they are like us doesn't mean we have to aspire to that. We don't need to put pressure on ourselves to be the best at whatever people that are, like us but are better at us at something. We don't have to aspire to their thing, to their aspirations and goals and lifestyle. We don't. But if it's something we care about, I think that's something that we can use numbers that are as realistic as we can get them. Numbers can help us make sure that it's real. Even if it feels like, holy crap, it's real, but wow, that's going to be tough. That's okay. That's okay. Those kinds of goals can be okay when we really care about it. There are pros and cons to upward comparisons. Upward comparisons, that is comparing ourselves to people that are, we believe or are doing better than us. It isn't all pros and it isn't all cons. There are pros and cons to downward comparisons. Comparing yourself to someone doing worse than you isn't all rainbows and lollipops either. And it's also not all negative. Pros and cons. Comparing your behind the scenes real life to someone's highlight reel is not fair to you. And it is reliably negative for mental health. Okay, so we've got to be aware of that. What if you know thyself, if you know you're really sensitive to the monumentally huge volume of highlight reels that are shared on social media, and it's just too difficult to, one, determine if it's even real, and two, whether it's real or not, you're just like, I don't need to see it. Know yourself, and if so, take a break from it, cut it down, cut it back, cut it out. Your mental health is more important than whatever's going on social media. Excessive comparison is more probable to be a thief of joy. Excessive comparison is more probable to be a thief of joy. And gratitude. Gratitude, the greatest of virtues and a buffer to negative comparison outcomes. Cicero said, gratitude is the greatest of virtues and the parent of all the others. One pattern seems clear. The outcome of social comparisons hinges on who we are comparing ourselves to, and what we want from the comparison. Each of us was born in a unique set of circumstances, in a unique environment, and our successes are not limited by the people who we compare ourselves to, no matter what. Instead, we should be grateful for all things, including what we've achieved, and grateful that we get to keep striving to achieve what we desire. Okay? So that's it for this week's State of Fitness. As always, find me if you need help. If you're a student, reach out. Find me or another coach. If not, find me on lluniversity.com. Hit the contact button, fill it out, tell me what you're needing. We'll get you taken care of that way. Until next time, let's focus on what we want. Let's be what? Grateful for what we already have. And remember, it's all happening perfectly. See you guys on campus if you're a member. See you next week, same bat time, same channel. If not, I'll see everybody here. Have a great week, everybody.